Yo, how's it going, people? If you're listening to Psytrance, you know that artists like Imagine Mars and Asterix Outsiders have the most cleanest and punchiest bass lines. But you will also be surprised to know how simple it is to make such a bass line. So in this video, I will show you how to do it. This video is split into 3 parts. First of all, I will show you how to extract a kick out of almost any track. The only condition is that the track has an offbeat bass line, and there's loads of Psytrance track that you can choose from. The second, we will make the bass out of one layer. The third, I will show you how to process the bass to match it to the same level as Imagine Mars. Throughout this video, I will use a referencing plugin by mastering the mix called Reference. And as a bonus, I'll add a link in the description so you can download this bass preset for free. Let me show you how to extract a kick out of almost any track. First of all, we need to make sure this track is warped correctly. So this is a track by Imagine Mars called Home, G143 BPM. When I load it, you can see that it has all of these markers. We want to get rid of that. So let's click on the warp to unwarp the track and warp it again. But sometimes the track doesn't start on the 0. So let's zoom all the way in. So you see that the first marker starts here, but actually this track starts here. So go to the very beginning, right click, set 1.1.1 here. Now the track will be exactly on the grid. So at this part, we have an offbeat bass. But the kick has a little bit of a hum on the top, so that's what we want to get rid of. Let's drag the kick into a new track. Let's zoom in and let's get rid of the fade. So let's have a listen again. And you can really hear that audible hum. So let's start by duplicating this track twice. Let's put all 3 tracks in a group. And let's grab an EQ plugin and drag it onto the first track. Let's create a low cut at 30 dB per octave. And let's drag it all the way down to around 110 Hz. So the first track is just our sub frequencies. Let's grab this EQ, copy and paste it onto the second channel. Press S on any channel enabled on to solo it. Let's grab this low cut and turn it into a high cut. Let's make another low cut at 30 dB per octave. And let's drag it down to around 2000 Hz. So this channel is our mid frequencies. You can hear that hum. Let's grab this EQ, copy and paste it onto the third track. Let's take this low cut and turn it into a high cut. These are the high frequencies of the kick. The next step is to freeze and flat all 3 channels. Press Z to zoom in. We can first of all get rid of these. So the first channel, there's a bit of a click, so let's get rid of it by adding a fade. Second channel. The first part is fine, but you will notice that from here is where the hum sitting. Command or Control E to make a cut, and let's delete that and make it a little bit of a fade. So we have this. So the third channel, these are the high frequencies. Let's make a cut here as well and add a little bit of a fade, and we have this. So if I play the group, I have a really nice clean kick. Let's record this into audio, and I will highly recommend you save this into your sample library. So just to remind you, we started with this, and we ended up with this. Pretty sick technique. Feel free to stop the video, go back, go through all of the steps and practice this, because if you don't practice this, you will forget it. Let's continue to the second part. This is the exciting part of making our bass line. So when I make Psytrance bass, I never leave it in MIDI. If you leave it in MIDI, the notes will overlap each other and the bass wouldn't be as powerful and as clean. We want to record the bass into audio so we can see each note. But recording a 16th note is not long enough, so we will record a quarter note. So let's create a clip, and we are working on G. Perfect. For this example, I will use Vital, but you can use any synth you'd like. First thing first, we want this synth to be in mono. We want every note to sound exactly the same. That's because the bass is one of the most important elements in the mix, and we want it to be stable. If something is in stereo, it can be unstable. Anything that is in mono is stable. So take the phase all the way down, phase randomization all the way down. Now this synth will produce the exact same note every time. Second, if we go to envelope 1, you can see that the attack is not all the way down. Drag it all the way down and do the same with envelope 2. Drag it all the way down. So we get a nice click for this bass. Let's do the same on envelope 3 because we will use all 3 envelopes. Envelope 2 will be controlling the filter. So let's turn the filter on. Let's drag the resonance all the way down and the filter cutoff almost all the way down. Something like 23-24 Hz. On envelope 2, let's drag the sustain almost all the way down to around 20% and the decay to around 240-250 milliseconds. Let's drag this to the filter cutoff. Notice that the envelope is controlling the filter almost all the way through. This will sound a little bit too bright. We want this bass to be a little bit darker. This is an issue I had as a beginner. I made the bass a little bit too bright and it just didn't sound refined. So let's drag this envelope all the way down to around 50-55. We can adjust this later if needed. So at the moment, let's refine this bass a little bit more. First of all, I would change the filter from 12 dB to 24 dB. Sounds a little bit more refined already. Let's go to our effects section. Let's add a distortion. Right click, edit value, 5 dB. Let's turn on also the filter on post effects. Let's take the resonant all the way down. And here we'll take the cutoff almost all the way down. Again, around 25 Hz. Let's add the same envelope onto the cutoff. This actually will make a great impact on the bass. So with the filter on and off, back on, sounds so much more refined, but we're still missing a little bit of a click for this bass. So let's turn envelope 2 on, let's take the resonance all the way down and the cutoff almost all the way down, and let's change this as well to 24 dB, but make sure that this is controlling oscillator 1. By default, it's controlling oscillator 2. Let's take envelope 3, let's take the sustain all the way down and the decay almost all the way down, something like between 20 to 30 milliseconds. So it's really, really tight. Let's drag this onto the filter cutoff. So let's turn it off so you can hear the impact it does. Listen to the transient, or how clicky the bass is. So with the filter on and off and on again, massive difference. Okay, one more little thing, we want to make this bass a little bit fatter. I will do that by going to this section. So click here, random amplitude, make sure that you take this almost all the way down, something like 1%. So this will make the bass a little bit fatter. That's it for the synth, but we have few more processing that we need to do externally. Let's start by grabbing an EQ plugin. We want to get rid of anything below 40 Hz. You can't really hear it and that information is just not necessary. So let's drag this EQ all the way down to around 40, and also notice that it's on 30 dB per octave. Very important, from zero latency, change to linear phase. So if you want to learn more about why this is important and learn a system to mix your tracks from start to finish, check out my course Into the Mix. Next, let's add FabFilter Saturn, just default preset, nothing else. This makes the bass a little bit fatter. Look at this. Notice the oscilloscope. So with and without and back on makes it a little bit fatter. The next plugin works like magic. Trance X Multi. This is a multiband transient shaper, and for me, this is a must plugin for making this type of bass. So we don't want it to affect the low frequencies, so let's turn the lower two bands off. Let's have a listen to what the difference it makes. So this is with the plugin on. Let's turn it off. Nice. We also have a trim option to make it really loud. Yes, now this is what I call a fat bass. Next, we need to add a little bit of compression. Let's take the Pro C2. I'm not going to go into detail about how to use a compressor. All of that I'm keeping to my courses, so check them out, it will be in the link below. Let's start with turning the oversampling on, turning the knee all the way down, change it from clean to classic, and let's turn the attack all the way up and the release all the way down. Let's turn the ratio to around 2, and then let's turn the threshold back to 0. This is what I do every time when I use a compressor. I'm trying to assess in my mind what kind of settings do I need. I take the threshold down to 0, play the sound, and then introduce the threshold, and then making adjustments. It's a much more purposeful way of working. You should try it for yourself as well. I'll put it before the Trance X. We don't want it too much gain reduction, just a little, something like 2-3 dB is enough. Sidechain, let's turn it on so it's a little bit sharper. Perfect. It's making the bass a little bit fatter. So one more thing, we added quite a lot of information with the saturation, the EQ, and with the transient shaping. Let's drag this EQ that we started with to the end of the chain. So again, we don't have anything below 40 Hz. Now it's a time to record this note into audio. Let's increase the loop bracket just a bit and let's record this. Okay. So this is one of the first reasons why I record everything to audio. Notice that this MIDI note is ending right here, but the actual note is much longer. Let's get rid of the fade and let's turn this into a 16th note. Psytrance bass is a kick, then 3 notes. Let's give it the red color. So before I even play it, the first issue we might have here is that this bass is overlapping with the tail of the kick. Imagine that if we had 2 sine waves overlapping each other, the amplitude will double, it will be twice as loud. But once they start shifting a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, they start to cancel each other and actually will reduce in volume, which is exactly what can happen here. It's called phase cancellation and it will make your bass sound less powerful. The first thing that we can do is reduce this note to about 12 dB. Now it's time to listen to our reference track as well. The cool thing about this plugin is that we can solo different bands. So I can click and drag and then click in the middle, and now we can listen just to the low frequencies. Sounds alright. Let's listen to the mid frequencies. Not too bad. Let's listen to the high frequencies. Sounding pretty good. Let's also turn on the oscilloscope and let's see if there is any issues that are happening here. Let's turn this off. As you can see here, it's a little bit too loud. It's making the bass a bit too loud. So a really simple way we can deal with this is let's duplicate this channel. Let's get rid of the first note on this channel, and in the second channel we will get rid of these 2 notes and we will keep this. I have a plugin called Fuser. This is a really smart sidechain plugin. This plugin will take only the frequencies of the kick and will only reduce them from the bass note. And also, it does the work for you. Soon you will see in red the conflicting areas. You can see right here, resolve conflict. Let's make it a little bit less prominent. So this is a really transparent way to make sidechain. Let's introduce back our oscilloscope. And if I remove this note, it's much better, it doesn't clip now. One more important thing that we need to do is use an EQ to clean the bass. We'll be working just on these 2 notes for now, and then we will copy the settings to the second channel. So let's start by creating a big bell like that, make it a little bit narrow. I'm doing it with my trackpad, and let's use this headphone button to listen to the harsher and more muddier parts. You can get rid of this just a bit too muddy. Let's keep doing this. I will do it quickly and then I'll come back. So let's listen to the before and after. This is with the EQ on. Let's turn it off. Back on. Let's copy these EQ settings onto the second channel, and let's have one more listen together with a reference track, and let's see if we have any issues. We want this to match as much as possible to a reference track. This is pretty much the same. Say that this is pretty much the same as well. Let's listen to the mid frequencies. Sounds good. High mids. Sounds good. Highs. And let's listen to everything together. I'll add a link in the description so you can download this bass preset for free. So if you have anything to add, anything that you want to say about making this type of bass, I would absolutely love if you leave a comment below. And next, make sure to watch this video. It's 5 Psytrance mixing techniques that you all should know. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace and love.